Doesn't look much like me.
No. I'm afraid he's lost something in the translation. It doesn't show the devil there.
You're going to miss me something shocking when I go to Eton.
How do you know?
No, he says so.
Which indeed. What other pearls of wisdom has Mary got to offer?
She thinks you spoil me. She says my socks cost you 12 and 6, a pair.
Well, for her information and yours, I shall miss your socks more than I shall miss you. That dazzling creature, Michael, has already gone whistling down the wind, but your socks are as glorious as ever.
I trust you're not becoming sentimental.
12 and 6 a pair.
My dearest Sylvia, 3 years since those last days at Ashton, and time again to give you an account of the boys' progress, though I am certain enough that you have your eye on them still, even in death. George is up at Cambridge and has now come to 20 years. When I first saw him, I told you he was a gorgeous boy. And long afterwards, I discovered that you thought I'd been singularly happy in my choice of adjectives. They all turned out as you and Arthur would have wished. It rests mainly with him, but I'd like to try and help. All the boys greeted my baronetcy news with utter contempt. With heartless derision, which, naturally enough, delighted me enormously. Peter and Jack are both away on training, and Michael is about to start at Eton. So I shall soon be alone again, with only Doodle Nico for company.
Come out! Come out, as I can see you. You can't frighten me. Nothing frightens me.
It's all right, Michael. There's no one there. There's no one there.
Through the water, spinning water, I can see him. Yes, there he is. Come out and take me.
Michael?
Yes. Yeah.
White mist spinning in. Can't see him anymore. All going misty white.
I can manage fingers, Sir James. They often get through nightmares.
Aware of that.
Spinning mist, take me down. Can't swim. Try. Can't. Deeper down.
There we are. And we get. All over now. See? All right. I think I'll just sit with him for a little though. But get a newspaper.
Sir James, I understand that you're returning to the Adelphi.
I can just as easily work here. Besides, I like sitting with Michael. I think he rather likes it too.
Maybe, but the boys are my responsibility.
Our responsibility.
The only ghosts who creep back into this world are dead young mothers returning to see how their children fare. Would Sylvia recognize Michael if she were to come back now? Michael thinks I'm being sentimental, doesn't see that the boy name is already dead. In its place, a stranger. If Michael had died at 12, he would have stayed a boy forever. Just as dead. Oh, I could work this into my Mary Rose story. Yes, mother dies, comes back to look for her boy. She's still as young as the day she dies, but her boy's grown up. She doesn't recognize him. Not like Wendy and Peter Pan.
Uncle Jim.
Ah, good morning.
Was I at it again?
Yes, you are. You remember anything of it?
Only you. Well, why do I have such nightmares?
It's a sign of a great imagination. One of the many prices one must pay for genius. I myself suffer from it constantly.
I won't get them as eaten.
You won't?
Why not?
Because I won't be there to inspire them.
Morning, Michael. James.
Good morning.
Morning, Uncle Jim.
Morning, Nico.
Mary says you're walking in your sleep last night.
Nico, what did I just tell you? Now run along downstairs and help Amy lay the breakfast. Come along, Michael, you two. I've a lot to do if we're going to get you off on time. I've packed your overnight suitcase, but I seem to be a sock short. You haven't seen it anywhere, have you?
So, no.
And don't forget to scrub your neck.
Good evening, Sir James. Thank you. Good under there.
Mr. Frohman telephoned. He'll ring again in the morning. And the editor of the Times to remind you about your article on Captain Scott. He would be grateful if you could send it over sometime tomorrow.
Oh, yes, thank you.
I believe Mrs. Brown has some haddock prepared for your supper.
No, thank you, Brown.
Very good, Sir James. Will you require anything further tonight, sir?
No, thank you.
And I'll bid good night, sir.
Good night. Always had a passion for adventures, and Captain Scott was no exception. And he was my friend. Always had Almost every Briton and I feels prouder today because of a scrap of paper found 6,000 miles away in a snowbird tent. Prouder because he feels the breed lives on. Michael. I believe that when...
Dearest Valentine, I believe that when Daniel Defoe was describing his desert island, he was describing London without Michael.
But he's an opulent scholar. Top of his division, captain of the under 14 and a half, more prizes in 1 year than you and Peter put together. Why is he so miserable here?
Oh, he'll settle in yet.
Yes, but a year. You took to Eton on your first day.
Yes, but I'm not Michael.
That's what his tutor keeps saying. Wasn't Michael more like George?
Yeah, but I'm an eternal optimist.
Yes, all lazy men are.
Well, thank God he's not. Otherwise you'd have 2 abandoned young debauchees on your hand instead of 1. I say, this Oak Lodge place looks quite a spot. What's the fishing like?
Oh, excellent in August. If we were going in June. And excellent in June as we're going in August. You know, I'm wondering if his health isn't to blame in some ways. Always been a bit on the frail side.
No, there's nothing very frail about him up at Almond Surrey when he landed all those salmon. If you ask me, Uncle Jimmy worried far too much about him. Now, what date do we go up to Scotland?
But he needs me.
Does he?
Of course he does. Otherwise he wouldn't write to me every day.
Every day?
Every day.
And you write back to him?
Every day.
August the what?
August the 1st. Why, does that strike you in some way?
Yes, I think it does rather. I'm not altogether sure. I think it's a good thing.
Why not?
Oh, I don't know. When I was at Eton, I was far too busy getting on with my life there. It was hard enough to get me to write to Mother once a week, let alone every day. And yet, you know, I think she preferred it that way. She never was the clinging type.
I have never clung to anyone against their will.
No, but you do have a way of bending a boy's will. Like black spider to a trout when you want to be.
Never hooked Jack.
No, you never wanted Jack, but you hooked me. Hook, line, and sinker.
No. You that hooked me. Your depraved ways. Your heartless smile. I could have gazed at that smile all day. It used to wrinkle up your nose and say, Mr. Barrie, why do you look at me so?
I should have kicked you instead.
You did. You're always kicking me. Enough to be kicked by you.
Now, if we're going up to Scotland on the 1st, can I go off to Italy for a couple of weeks in July when I get back from Cambridge? Mickey Lawrence knows a friend we can stay with near Venice.
Yes, by all means.
Thank you.
Let's see now. Must stop fooling myself. He doesn't really need me.
Oh, I expect he does. Uncle Gerald says you've got Gabby DeLees to play Rosie Rapture in your new review. Have you met her yet? I think she's absolute perm.
He writes to me. But he's no longer writing to me. He runs to me, but he's no longer running to me. I could tell. Seems to be running to me. But actually, he's running along a road that's carrying him still more rapidly in the opposite direction.
I won't deny that I've had fancies galore, say 3 or 4.
Well, maybe more.
I've often thought this one I truly adore.
Then in a minute I'd find there was nothing in it. Same sort of girl and the same sort of boy,
Same sort of whirl in the same round of joy.
same making eyes and the
Tell me, Gabby, do you intend performing like that in front of an audience?
Oh, you do not like Monsieur Frohman?
Oh, I'm not the Lord Chamberlain, and he can be pretty narrow-minded about your sort of talent. If you go performing like that on a London stage, you won't be needing a producer, you'll be needing a lawyer.
I'll be your lawyer.
Merci, Georges.
Yes. Well, we can skip the next bit of business and go straight on to which switch.
Which switch is the switch, Mr. Ipswich?
Yes, thank you. Words to that effect.
Oh, can't we have a little bit of business?
We don't have Leon Quartermain.
Peut-être, Georges.
George.
Go on, George.
Well, I don't know the words.
Oh, you can use the words from Mr. Frohman's flute,
Right. I'll do my best.
What think you of door dark and impenetrable one?
Topping.
I was referring to Michael. Well,
Not really your sort of thing, Uncle Jim.
perhaps you'd care to address your complaints to the producer.
Oh, no, don't look at me, Michael. It wasn't my idea. I must say, I share Nico's evident enthusiasm for Mademoiselle Gabby Delis.
She's all right, I suppose, if you like that sort of thing. Personally, I'm a vegetarian.
Miss Rapture, I presume.
I am so sorry to have kept you waiting, but I was having a few cherries.
Quite so. All take 10 minutes while Rosie Rapture has her cherries.
Have one.
No.
Have one.
Go on, George.
Go on, your baggage. Give them the music cue. What's that meant to be?
It's my number 2 smile.
Who wants your number 2 smile? Give me your number 3 pout. That's better. You can certainly pout, my girl, but it's all you can do, so hang on to it.
That's very good job.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Gabby telling me we're lovers. It costs so little, and it gives them so much pleasure. George, when a little boy in Kensington Gardens, holding my hand and asking me what love was. I told him then. Couldn't know. I had to advise him when I made such a mess of my marriage. Better not to advise. Let youth go his own way.
Sunday, August 2nd, 1914. A fine and windy day, with sun till 4 o'clock. After lunch, we fished the Kinloss. I had rather an afternoon of it. I caught 65 trout on Zulu, Michael caught 22, and Nico 15. Uncle Jim hooked 1, but lost him soon after, taking the flying cast with him, and went back to using worm.
My dearest Sylvia, 4 years now, and once again I offer you an account of the boy's progress. Under my hopelessly inadequate guardianship. I say inadequate because none knows so well as I how irreplaceable a mother is to a growing boy. However, I try as best I can, and they are my main reason for going on. George has now come to 21 years, and I think you and Arthur can be well proud of your eldest born. He had a long summer's day, and I turn round and find he's a man. But oh, the man, and oh, how I long to have him with me at all times, helping me guide the destinies of the other 4. He is such a comfort, and so level-headed. It's such fun to be with.
Tuesday, August 4th, 1914. Michael and I fished the kingless in the morning with trout rods. In the afternoon, we fished Michael's pool under the railway bridge. I caught 4 little chaps. Michael got 22. God.
All the boys have outgrown me in size, except for Doodle Nico. Jack and Peter I rarely see these days. And it is Michael who is now the real business of my life. He has become more reserved than ever, and I think few have suffered the loss of a mother as he has done. He continues to be persecuted by nightmares, and I'm in a constant tremble when thinking about him, which is ever a day and night affair. It will be no surprise when I tell you that he has the true stuff of the poet in him, and my proudest boast is that he rejects most of my own literary efforts as sentimental humbug. He and George are as different as 2 brothers can be. Yet they are as vital to me as my golf and my pipe.
Peter!
Mikey, Peter!
Hello, Uncle Jim. I wasn't expecting you till Friday. How'd you get off camp so early, you old dog?
It broke up as soon as we heard the news.
What news?
Well, surely you've read the newspapers, haven't you?
We haven't seen a newspaper since we got here.
Well, for what it's worth, we've been at war with Germany for the past 24 hours.
Hooray!
Right, fill it in, get it signed by your father and posted back here.
Thank you, sir.
Next.
Well, sir, we were told by Major Thornton to come and see you about getting a commission, sir.
Bungler Thornton at Cambridge, eh? Well, what's your name?
Llewelyn Davies, sir.
School?
Eton. McNaughton's house.
Eton, eh? Play any games?
Yes, sir, 5 choices. And I was in the cricket 11 Lords 1912.
1912? I don't seem to remember you.
Well, I did score 59, sir, and pulled off quite a good catch. High left-hander, actually.
Well, what did you say your name was?
Llewelyn Davies, sir. Oh, well, just Davies at Eton, George Davies.
George Davies, yes, of course. Yes, I remember you. Splendid catch, absolutely first class. Why the devil didn't you say so before?
I'm sorry, sir.
Yes, with your record, I shouldn't have any difficulty in getting you a commission. Look, take one of these, fill it in, get it signed by your father, and then post it back here, and mark it for my personal attention.
Thank you, sir. Very decent of you. Actually, we don't have a father. I mean, he's dead. Will Sir James Barrie be all right? He's our guardian.
Well, I don't... Oh, you're one of the lucky Peter Pan boys adopted by Sir James, eh? Well, of course, Sir James Barrie will do splendidly.
Thank you, sir.
What about you, my boy? What have you got to say for yourself here?
Well, sir, actually, I'm his brother, Peter.
Well, the real Peter Pan, eh?
No, sir. Peter Davies.
Eton, too?
Yes, sir. Scholarship, actually.
You're a bit of a youngster for this sort of game, aren't you?
17, sir.
I'm afraid you won't be able to join your brother just yet, but there's no reason why you shouldn't start training. Now, look, fill it in and send it back with the other one.
Thank you very much, sir.
Next.
In the past, your Imperial Majesty, but in the past alone lies Britain's greatness. And then the Emperor says, yes, England has grown dull and sluggish, a belly of land
These are the tops, where are the bottoms? Don't
no
look up at
dreams
me.
to keep it
I hope
alive.
we didn't pack them in Michael's
Britain's
trunk.
part in the world's making us done. I was, it's her epitaph. And then Miss Ramrod comes forward as the spirit of culture and indicts him. You're wrong, O Emperor. England was grown degenerate, but you have made her great again. She fought you at Crecy and Agincourt and Waterloo.
Excuse me interrupting, but I want to
What?
explain something to George. George. Now look, these are outside socks. I've packed you 6 pairs, and these are for the inside, so don't get them muddled up. Oh, and the man at the Army and Navy says that you should stuff plenty of straw in your boots.
Haven't you packed him any straw?
No, he's only teasing you, Mary.
I know. Come on, Nico, some of us still got work to do.
Is that it?
Yes, more or less. Why, do you think it's too short?
No. It's short on humour, though.
The Prime Minister asked me to write a stirring, patriotic play, not a comedy.
Oh, well, with all due respect, I think the Prime Minister's wrong. But if you must write a patriotic piece, can't you write it on a sugar lump? Make it far easier to swallow.
Hey-o! Another consignment for the waste paper basket, whence no traveller returns. I don't know. What on earth am I going to do without you? You're like the Titanic without the iceberg.
You just have to grin and bear it till I get back.
Yes, I suppose so. Not much grinning, though. I heard a story the other day from E.V. Lucas, I think it was, about a French general who asked for some volunteers for some mission or other, and the whole company stepped forward. So he picked out 3 men, gave them their orders. They were just setting out. He called them back and said, "Since when have brave men departing for the post of danger omitted to embrace their father?" Well, it's a bit sentimental for my taste, of course, but it's a good story.
Well, they were French.
Yes, I said so. Yes, I said so. It's a good story, then.
Why did you tell it to me?
Because it's a good story.
No other reason?
Oh, none that I can think of. Well, I'll leave you to get changed.
What for?
Because I've booked a table at the Savoy, so you'll kindly do me the honour of buckling on your armour for the occasion. Ah, George, may I introduce Second Lieutenant George Davies of the King's Royal Rifles, George Davies, Mademoiselle Gabby Dreves.
Bonsoir, George.
Gabby. Why didn't you tell me?
Well, it was meant to be a sort of surprise, a kind of going away present. If you just ask for Mr. Ferraro at the Savoy, then he'll take care of everything.
What, aren't you coming?
The table was for 2.
Bien, George.
Uncle Jim, you're a poem. My dear Uncle Jim, I've got some spare time now from the old trenches routine, so I'll try and tell you a bit of what it's like out here. Last night, I prowled around a ruined chateau in the moonlight. It was really nothing but a shell, with all the rooms battered to bits. There was a little shrine out in the garden, practically untouched by gunfire. On the altar, just in front of the figure of Christ, there was a tiger moth. In the old days, I would have caught the little chap for my collection. But I suppose the moonlight made me feel a bit romantic. To a sentimental fellow like myself, it had a rather striking effect, and almost made me forget I was a soldier.
George. Oh, how I wish I could have been on the prowl with you round that ruined chateau. Though my own feeling about the moon is that it was at its best at Black Lake, because we had so many lovely moons there together. However, I trust your best moons are still to come. Mr. Frohman is sailing from New York to help with Gabby's review, which is in sore straits without you. I only wish you could be sailing home too. I have sent you a few things from Fortnum's, which should arrive next week in time for Easter. Your Uncle Guy is fighting near Ypres and thinks you're only a few miles from him. Wherever you are, I hope you see near your bed the flowers I want to place there in a nice vase. I shall be so anxious till I get another letter from you. You should see how I plunge through my mail looking for them, quite as if I were the young lady. Your loving J.M.B. P.S. How I wish I was your Gilly.
The Fortnum and Mason's goods have just arrived. Boxes and boxes of them.
Hooray!
We are a grateful party of officers and shall be in Clover for the next 6 days. We had an awful tramp up to the trenches last night through a sea of mud.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, it was muddy. I had to go along behind, and by mistake I got into a
Complete muddle. Was it? Communications trench.
into a communications trench, which was full of liquid mud and dead Germans.
Hooray!
Go on.
By Jove, when I get home, I shall never get up in the morning at all. I shall be frightful idle.
Oh.
My dear George, we have just heard that Mr. Frohman was among those drowned in the Lusitania outrage. He was the shyest man I ever met, and therefore my closest friend, apart from you boys. But he had reached a time in life when the best things have come to one, if they're to come at all. And he had no children, which is, after all, the best reason for caring to live on after the sun has set. When they offered him a place in one of the lifeboats, he refused with those words so lightly spoken by you as a small boy. Why fear death? To die will be an awfully big adventure. Of course, I don't need this to bring home to me the danger you are always in. But I do seem to be sadder today than ever. And more wishing you were a girl of 21 instead of a boy, so that I could say the things to you that are now always in my heart. I don't have an iota of desire for you to get military glory. I just have the one passionate desire that we may all be together again once at last. There may be some moments when a knowledge of all you are to me will make you a little more careful, so I can't help going on saying these things. I've lost all sense I ever had of war being glorious. It is just unspeakably monstrous to me now. Your loving J.M.B.
happened, Mary?
Irene Vanbrugh in the cast of the Colosseum. The Millington Drakes. Josephine Mitchell Innes. Gilbert and Mary, Canon. Mr. and Mrs. Hugh Lewis and family. The King and Queen at Sandringham. Uncle Crompton. Lloyd George. Florrie Gay. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Hardy. Aunt Gwen. Evie and Audrey Lucas. Uncle Gerald and Aunt Muriel. What was it? Jack. Uncle Gerald and Aunt Muriel. The management and cast of the Duke of York's.
Dear Uncle Jim, I've just got your letter about Mr. Frohman. You say it hasn't made you think any more about the danger I'm in, but I know it has. Do try not to let it. I take every care of myself that can decently be taken. And if I am going to stop a bullet, why should it be with a vital place? But arguments aren't any good. Keep up your heart, Uncle Jim. And remember how good an experience this is for a chap who's been very idle before. Lord, I shall be proud when I'm home again and talking to you about all this. That old dinner at the Savoy will be pretty grand. The ground is drying up fast now, and the weather far better. Soon the spring will be on us, and the birds nesting right up in the firing line.
Beyond the darkness is a great ingle nook, in which is seated on a settle a man of about 50. Through the greyness we see him in the glow of the fire, trying to read his paper. He is a wistful, pathetic, lonely man. Then in the silence, something happens. A well-remembered voice says, "Father." He looks into the greyness in which the voice comes, and he sees his dead son. "I have come to sit with you for a bit, Father." I say, don't be startled, or anything of that kind. It is the gay, young, careless voice of old. "What's the matter, Father? Haven't you got over it yet?" "Oh, I got over it so long ago. I do wish you people would understand what a little thing death is." "Tell me how it is, Dick." "Well, it's like a mist. A sort of veil that's drawn between the living and the dead. But when you've been out at the front for a bit, you can't think how thin the veil seems to get. I don't remember being killed. I don't remember anything. Till the quietness came."
Hello.
Hello?
It's about time someone threw them all away. He never looks at them.
You, Michael?
I have that dubious distinction.
How do you do? I'm Cynthia Asquith.
Uncle Jim's new secretary.
I have that dubious distinction.
Well, I should start by burning all those.
Lady Cynthia, I want nothing to be touched in those bottom drawers.
They're only from me.
Nothing is to be touched in those bottom drawers, do you hear?
As you wish.
Where have you been all day?
Roger?
Roger who?
Roger Senhouse.
Do I know him?
Came for dinner last holidays.
No, can't say I remember.
He certainly remembers you. You never spoke a word to him all evening.
Didn't I?
No, you didn't. Poor Roger said it was the most terrifying experience of his life.
Poor Roger. You know, your friends say that, don't they?
The ones that don't know you. Could you please keep still?
I got it just this morning. It's real wheeze,
Yes,
isn't it?
Master, I can't possibly concentrate with that din going on. I think I might beat him this time.
Come on, Mary, show Jack how you can quick step. Come on. Of course you can, don't you? Look, you were doing splendidly yesterday, and Jack's dying to see you dance.
Oh, all right.
1, 2, 1, 2, 2.
Thank heavens, I couldn't have lasted another minute and turn that thing off. I'm sure Jack's had enough noise for one day.
Another from those who carried our ears. Vast intellects have begun here to murder, haven't they, Mary?
Have you two been drinking?
I regret not. We stopped by the Red Lion, but it was closed.
Well, just so we both got the same story, I told Sir James that I forgot to give you the message about you going to the rehearsals of Dear Brutus.
Oh, blast, I clean forgot.
No, I forgot to tell you.
Oh, bless you, Mary.
Michael, Jack's here.
Jack. Jack! I thought you were floating about in the North Sea somewhere.
Yes, well, I was, but I managed to get 3 days sick leave.
Yes, we all know about sick leave. Well, did you bring her with you?
Bring who?
Your inamorata.
Who?
Your fiancée.
Oh, Jerry, yes, but we're not engaged yet.
So I understand. Well, welcome back to little old New Babylon. Have you seen Uncle Jim yet?
Yes, I had lunch with him to talk about Jerry and things, but spent most of the time talking about you.
How fearfully dull.
Yes, it was, rather. So was the cold haddock.
Oh, Roger, I'm sorry. This is my brother Jack. Roger Senhouse, a friend of mine from Eton. How do you do?
Well, I think I better be going. Don't forget Boris Goodenough tomorrow night, 6:30, Covent Garden.
Yes, I'll see what he says. Why not phone me in the morning? I'll be at the Adelphi flat.
If you don't mind, I'd rather you telephone me. I never know what to say to him.
You say, good morning, Sir James. May I speak to Michael? He won't bite you, not down the telephone.
Goodbye, Jack. Nico.
Nico, hop it.
Why?
I want to word with Michael, please. You know, I really can't blame him. The little baronet's enough to freeze anyone's blood. Don't know how you put up with him.
I don't put up with him. I'm fond of him.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could say the same. Then you didn't have to stand there and watch him trying to take father's place, worming his way into mother's affections.
Oh, nonsense.
Is it? Oh, you were too young. Didn't see what went on.
Well, George did, and he never resented Uncle Jim.
Oh, well, George always swam with the tide. I'm not saying anything against George. He was one of God's own. But Peter and I were always more independent, and that's the one thing the Bart can't stomach. Ooh, you wait and see what happens when you want to get married.
So that's
You're
it.
damn right it is. I mean, what right's he got trying to tell us how to run our lives? He spent most of lunch moaning on about Peter living with his married woman, when if Peter wants to live with her, why the devil shouldn't he? And if I want to get married, why the devil shouldn't I? It's time somebody told that...
Ready?
Kindly don't interrupt.
Thank you, Mary. We'll be along in a minute. Was that really necessary?
No right to interrupt like that.
She's got every right. She's one of us.
Not to me, she isn't. It's bad enough having to go on all fours to the Bart.
All fours for what?
Permission to marry, of course.
You're 21. You don't need his permission.
I know. But I want my Jerry to have the best. Can't give her that on a naval salary.
The money.
Just a few hundred to get started. Well, what's a few hundred to the Bart? He's so infernally wealthy, it's like a flea bite to him.
How long does he want you to wait?
Till the war's over.
be another 20 years the way things are going. Look, couldn't you have a word with him? I mean, he takes your opinion on just about everything, and if you tell him to let us get married, we can start writing out the invitations.
I won't tell him anything. But I'll have a word with him if you like.
Thanks, old pal.
Supposing he does agree, where would you both live?
Well, here, of course. I mean, it's our house, isn't it? Oh, don't worry. You and Jerry will get on like a house on fire. She's the absolute cat's pajamas.
Yes, well, I suppose they could always live in Camden Hill Square.
Oh, I don't think that would work. I can't really see Mary taking too kindly to that.
Oh?
Well, she and Jack don't see eye to eye, you know that. Besides, there wouldn't really be room once Jack starts a family.
Well, you hardly ever there, except in the holidays.
Couldn't you buy them a house as a wedding present?
Wait a minute. I think I have the perfect solution. Why don't you come and live here? There's plenty of room for you and Nicola. We could turn the spare bedroom into the billiards room. We could even have your own study.
Now, the main thing is don't look nervous.
I'm not nervous.
Just keep your fingers crossed the Bart's in a good mood. God, but I'd rather face the whole German Navy. If it wasn't for my Jerry. Now, don't forget he's very shy, so don't think he doesn't like you just because he doesn't smile. He never smiles. Evening, Brown.
Evening, Jack. That's good.
Good evening, Brown.
Jack, come on in.
Disease.
Hello, Uncle Jim. This is Miss Geraldine Gibb. Jerry, Sir James Barrie. Well, Uncle Jim.
How do you do?
Well, well. I always knew there was one matter about which Jack could make no mistake. I'm delighted to see that my judgment was right.
My brother, Michael.
How do you do, Michael?
How do you do?
What a charming dress.
Thank you very much, Sir James.
Yeah, I say, Michael. Are things as rosy as they look?
They are for some.
Hey, Michael, why don't you telephone the Savoy, see if you can book a table?
Yes.
Oh, Brown, will you tell Mrs. Brown that we'll be dining out after all?
Very good, Sir James.
Hello, operator. Could you get me the Savoy, please? Oh, Savoy, yes, I'm speaking on behalf of Sir James Barrie. Could you ask Mr. Ferraro to reserve the usual table for 8 o'clock, please? Yes, thank you. Goodbye.
Well, now, I have been giving some thought to the matter of which we spoke. I think I've come up with a solution. Thank you, Brown. Come on, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Brown.
Well, now, here's how.
How dare you?
Please, Mary, try and make it work for my sake and for no one else's.
I'd do anything for you, Michael, but not this. I've run this house on your mother's instructions since the day she died. And I'm not prepared to start taking orders from Jack's wife or anyone else. And that includes Sir James Barrie. How dare he write such a thing? Mrs. Davies will now be in charge of Camden Hill Square, and I expect you to work to her instructions. There's only one Mrs. Davies I serve, and that's Mrs. Arthur.
Look, they're going to be here any minute. Won't you at least make an effort?
Why should I make an effort? When has Sir James ever made an effort for me?
Oh, he does care for you, Mary, in his own queer way. He does care.
It's a mighty queer way of showing it. Of course he doesn't care. He resents me. Always has done, ever since he first set eyes on me in Kensington Gardens. Always stood between him and you boys. Yes, and stood up to him too. Why didn't he come tell me all this to my face? I'll tell you why. He wouldn't dare for fear of what I tell him. There's many a home truth I could tell him that would find his mark. He might be the most successful writer in the country, but to me he's nothing more than a self-centered little...
Come on, they're here. All right, Nico. Mary, I beg of you, tread carefully. Hello, Jen. How are you? Did you have a nice time?
Lovely, thank you.
Good. Mary? What's the matter? Nico.
Hello, Mary. Well, you're getting away from it this time, eh? I'd like you to meet my wife. Jerry, this is Mary Hodgson, our altogether faithful and loving nurse.
Hello, Mary. I've heard so much about you from Jack.
Mary!
Morning.
Morning, Cynthia.
My dear Mary, as I think you find it easier, I am answering your note with another. I suppose I must accept your resignation very sorrowfully, as the wisest step in circumstances that are very difficult.
Come on. Come on, Michael. There's nothing to be afraid of. I brought my Michael along this morning to help me lick the envelopes and stick on the stamps. Oh, you don't mind, do you?
No. No one knows what... No one could know so well as myself what you have been to the boys, except indeed the boys themselves. Particularly Michael... particularly Michael and Nicholas, who came into our hands when they were so very young. I earnestly hope that you will continue to see them in future and be their friend throughout life. As Jack's ship is based in Edinburgh, he and his wife are to rent a house there for the duration of the war. I have therefore decided to sell Camden Hill Square, and the proceeds will be divided up among the boys.
Are you writing a story?
Well, before the war, which is a new way of saying once upon a time, I could write any number, but I'm afraid I've forgotten the way.
I can tell stories, lots of them.
Oh, can you?
Yes. Can I lick it for you?
Yes. Are they good stories?
Yes. And then he hears it coming up behind him. Tick-tock, 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 tock-tick. And he thinks it's a croc, but it's not really a croc at all. Shall I tell you who it is?
You shall. Oh, you want to run money, do you? All right. Worth a shilling.
Thank you. I'll tell you who it is. It's Peter Pan.
It's not.
Yes, it is. You see, clever Peter thinks it...
Come along, Michael. Leave Sir James to his work now.
Yeah, I'll get another one. Go on, off you go.
Come on.
Michael and Nicholas are coming to live here with me at the Adelphi. So Michael will soon be joining up to fight. You can imagine how I tremble at the thought. But I only fall into line with so many mothers. These are days of such universal suffering that we need the courage of flowers to go on as usual. And we are all part of a darkened world. Yours sincerely, J M Barrie.
found these lying on the floor. I suppose I ought to feel sorry for you, but I don't. You never should have given in.
I didn't have much choice.
Of course you did. I know how you can fight when you want something badly enough. You've got a will like adamant, but when it comes to JMB, you let him lead you on like a lamb to the slaughter.
Why should you care?
Because I'm fond of you.
So's Uncle Jim?
He only cares about himself. If he really loved you, he'd let you go instead of suffocating you. You've got all the makings of a genius. Hugh McNaughton thinks you're the most talented boy he's ever had at Eton.
Well, if I do have any talent, which I seriously question, might not some of it be due to Uncle Jim?
I doubt it very much. You're a talented family. George du Maurier, Crompton, Theodore, there is no genius, except in making pots of money. He's just got a good nose for third-rate public taste, that's all.
Uncle Jim's right, he may not be everyone's cup of tea, but third-rate he is not. Nor second-rate, nor first-rate. He stands alone. Unlike your Bloomsbury friends, he owes nothing to any other writer or any other school. That, in my humble opinion, is true genius, and not to be belittled by the fashionable opinions of you and me.
I thought you didn't like his plays.
It's Uncle Jim I love, not J M Barrie.
Well, I, for one, think he's a morbid little man, and the sooner you break away from him, the better. It's an unhealthy relationship, and I'm not the only one who thinks so.
What's unhealthy about it?
I don't exactly know, but it goes beyond the bounds of ordinary affection.
Would you call our affection ordinary? Yours and mine for each other?
Oh, yes. Yes, I would.
How dull we must be then, you and I. Yes, you're right. Uncle Jim's love for me does go beyond the bounds of ordinary affection. So does my love for him.
We've all wished to live on to see what peace was like. What is it like? Very silent, it seems to me. Now that we realize the dead are not just dead for the duration of the war. Still dream about George, you know.
Yes. So I read in the Times.
Times?
The play you wrote about him, I read the review.
Yes, of course.
I'm afraid I can't share your sentiments about death, Uncle Jim. You write about dying as if it were a love affair. You wouldn't think that if you'd been out there, amongst all the slime and bodies and bits of bodies. To die would be an awfully big adventure. Do you think it was an adventure for George? Drifting through that misty veil of yours, is that how you think George died? At least there's comfort in the lie. Bugger it all, I'm sure George is past caring. Perhaps I'm a romantic too. Give anything to change places with him.
I still want to help you, Peter. Won't you come back and live with us?
What you need is a constant companion. And I can never be that. Besides, you already have one.
Michael? No. He's already going away from me, and I'm aware of it.
I meant George. You got him where you want him. Can't you see that?
You really think that? You think I wouldn't give everything to have it back?
I think you would. But I think you'd be wrong. George is closer to you now than he ever could have been in life, and will become more so as time goes by.
What about us? Can we become closer to?
I think we're already closer than either of us realize.
Why is my heart not broken? If I'd been a man of any real feeling, my heart would have broken long ago. I have passed through the valley of the shadow, but have come out into the sunlight again. I suppose it is all to the good that as the years go by, the day should recede farther from us. Mary Rose belongs to the past, and even if we could drag her back, I think it would be wrong. No one should ever come back from the dead, however much they've been loved.
Did you see that woman with her pram? She was going faster than we were. Not feeling too shaken up, are you?
It's really the third time I've ever been on a motorbike.
Really? It was my second. You look as if you could do with a drink.
Couldn't we have one down at the Anchor?
No, I said I'd do some work with Uncle Jim. He'll be back from dinner any minute.
It gives me the creeps, this place. Like being in a mausoleum. Can I put on a record?
Yes. Chateau Le Croc, 1915. That should cauterize your tonsils. What's that hideous noise?
It's your record.
Nickers is the jazz king, not me. Try this one. Do you think we'd ever survive a trip to Paris, you and I?
You're much happier in a car. Couldn't you persuade him to... What is this music? Goodbye Ragtime.
Mary Rose.
Mary who?
You wouldn't know.
How do you know?
Because I know you.
Come on, try me.
All right, I'll tell you. She's a girl who disappears on a Scottish island and stays the same age while the rest of the world grows old. Then one day she leaves the island in search of her son, but when she finds him, she doesn't recognize him.
And the music?
That's the island calling her back. You see, if she stays away, she'll grow old like her son.
But if she boogers back to the Neverland, she'll stay a little boy forever and ever, thanks to Sir Jazz Banby.
I said you wouldn't know her. What were you saying before?
About what?
Couldn't I persuade him to something?
Oh yes, buy you a car so we can drive to Paris in reasonable comfort.
I doubt it. I had a hard enough job getting the motorbike. He dreamt I'd been killed in an accident the night before he bought it and nearly cancelled the order.
What convenient timing.
Yes, wasn't it? Particularly since I'd just woken up from the same nightmare. Uncle Jim? I thought you were out at dinner.
Yes, so did I.
I brought Roger back for a drink.
You missed quite a day at rehearsals. Thomas Hardy turned up, see how we were getting on. He was wearing that funny old grey felt hat of his, and one of the staff thought he was a newspaperman and tried to throw him out. It was only due to Nico's sterling efforts that he wasn't forcibly ejected from the theatre. I've been having another go at Act 3. It's rather uphill work without you. I've put in one or two odds and ends that await your inspection. Oh, by the by, I had a word with Gilmore about something beginning with M that I saw advertised in the newspapers. Morris? Two-seater? Not interested.
What's the point in having a car if you won't let me go anywhere?
No, stop you going anywhere. You can go where you like.
To Paris?
Yes, Paris, if you must.
But you said the other day...
Yes, well, I know. That was the other day.
Do you really mean it?
If it amuses you.
It would only be for August.
Fine, fine. Now can we read through the scene?
Oh, play if you like.
Why did you say this summer holidays?
Well, August.
Oh dear, what a pity. Still, let's start from the top of page 94, shall we?
What's the pity?
I was just, I'd taken a place in Scotland for the summer holidays at an island, actually, off the west coast. But if you'd rather go skiing with the others...
You never told me.
Well, naturally, it was meant to be a surprise. No matter. Page 94. Of course, you could always bring Roger. I mean, you bring who you like. We got the whole island. It's a regular Robinson Crusoe island, by all accounts. Alien Shona. The island that likes to be visited. Hey. I am Mary Rose.
Who are you searching for?
I don't know. I knew once, but I've forgotten. It was such a long time ago. I'm so tired of being a ghost.
Can't you see who I am?
Nice man.
Is that all you know about me?
Yes.
I dare say being a ghost is worse than seeing one.
Yes. No, this bit's new.
They say there are ways of laying ghosts, but I'm so ignorant.
Tell me.
All I know about ghosts for certain is that they are unhappy because they can't find something. And then once they've found the thing they want, they go away happy and never come back. Can't you see I'm your son? Oh, no, I don't think you should say that. The audience will know I'm your son. It's much better the way you had it.
Yes, cross it out. It's much better.
And so, can't you see who I am?
Nice man.
Too tired to know or care?
Yes. Now the island begins to call to Mary Rose. She rises, crosses stage right, and moves through the window, as if drawn by the music calling to her. Oh, what a night of stars.
Dear Lady Cynthia, we have now been on a desert island a whole week. And a wild, rocky, romantic island it is too. A real spying ground for what really became of Mary Rose. We are a very Etonian household here, and there is endless sharp talk, during which I am expected to be merely the ladler out of soup. If I speak to Michael's friends, they shudder and edge away, and are evidently a much merrier crowd without me. Even Michael seems more dark and dour and impenetrable these days. He has the oddest way of alternating between extraordinary reserve and surprising intimacy. No medium. I do my best, but I have no real experience, as Wendy says to the Lost Boys. Michael has again been drawing sketches of me, and they're more than enough. Indeed, if I believed they did me justice, I'd throw myself from our highest peak. I have an uncomfortable feeling that his sketches of other people are rather like them. Oh, do my letters seem aged? I certainly feel so here. If only my Michael was the same age as your Michael. Oh, what a time we'd be having together. We should make great play of putting this letter in a bottle and letting it be picked up all are Crichton castaways. When I think of my Michael at the age of your Michael, I know that those were the last days in which I was alive.
Come on, Uncle Jim, you have a go.
Did you ask him?
Yes.
And?
And nothing. What's more time to think about it?
Well, don't let him. He'll only procrastinate, and then it'll be too late.
Yes, all right, all right.
Michael, very personal. Listen, here, I think, at last, I've got an idea for my St. Andrew's address. I was wondering if courage mightn't be a bad subject. What think you? Courage. For the youth of today to demand its say in the running of the country.
Uncle Jim.
Courage. Yes.
Why won't you let me go to Paris? Or at least let me put my name down for the Sorbonne? Look, if I don't do it soon, I won't stand a chance of getting in. Why won't you let me go?
Well, I've talked it over at great length with Lady Cynthia. And she agrees with me that you should wait until after you've got your final.
But they're not for another 2 years.
I know that, but Lady Cynthia...
But what's Lady Cynthia got to do with it?
Well, it's a second opinion.
Well, my second opinion thinks I should leave Oxford now, so let's leave out second opinions.
All right, then, in my opinion. Good God. You should wait till you've got your MA. I didn't leave Edinburgh University till I got mine.
And much good it did you.
What?
You said so yourself.
Well, it's not the point. Your mother and father would have wished it.
How do you know? Mother always told me she hoped I'd follow in Grandfather du Maurier's footsteps, which I seem to remember took him off to Paris. Look, George Morrow said he'd publish my drawings in Punch if I managed to...
Mr. Morrow was my introduction, not your grandfather's. Anyway, you can just as easily submit drawings from Oxford.
But I want to study art at the Sorbonne. It's the only university where they know how to teach it.
Listen to me, Michael. A year ago, you wanted to study classics. And then you wanted to study music. And then you wanted to study poetry. Now you want to study art. I mean, how do you know that in a month's time you might not want to study politics or Freudian psychology? God forbid, all right.
Medieval pen drainage, it's entirely possible. But right now I want to go to Paris and study art. You let Jack have his way. Why won't you let me have mine?
You've always had your way, Michael. You asked for a motor car, I give you a motor car. You asked for a cottage, I give you a cottage. If you ask me for my life, I'll give it to you willingly.
I don't want your life, Uncle Jim.
Thanks, Michael. Back again at the flat and thirsting nightly to have you with me, now and at all times. I was very gratified by your last letter, and glad that you understood how I felt about you staying on at Oxford. But my feelings were wrong. I really have no right to hold you there against your will, since I have chosen courage for my rectoral address. And I suppose the rector of St. Andrews should start by practicing it himself. If Paris is where your heart lies, then Paris it must be. And I'm thinking that Paris will be the very place to spend your 21st next holidays. My gift will keep you there in happiness for many months. Though the time while you're away will be loneliness personified to me. I seem to have been waiting an eternity for you to become 21. So that we could get closer and closer to each other without any words being needed. So indeed, I think we are as close in love as two friends can be. I had lunch with your Uncle Gerald today, and I told him what a joy and a pride you are to me. Of course, I'll never mention such things to you. No, I keep it dark. And now for the post. And then the night only. Your loving J.M.B.
Sir James Barrie?
Yes?
Oh, I wonder if you could spare me a few moments. My name's Hobson from the Daily Graphic. I was wondering if you could let me have a few more details. Could it have been suicide?
I don't know. What on earth are you talking about?
Well, the drowning. I say, I'm most dreadfully sorry. I thought... We thought... Well, two undergraduates were drowned this afternoon in Sanford Pool outside Oxford. They were found together in each other's arms. One of them has been identified as Michael Llewelyn Davies, the adopted son of Sir James. Sir James? I really am most dreadfully sorry.
(3296) Gerard? No, I'm afraid Sir James is indisposed. Yes. Yes, of course. Yes, thank you. Goodbye. (3296) Gerard? No, I'm afraid Sir James is indisposed. Yes, of course. Yes, thank you. Bye. (3296) Gerard?
Some disquieting confessions must be made in printing at last the play of Peter Pan. Among them this, that I have no recollection of having written it. Of that, however, anon. What I want to do first is to give Peter to the five, without whom he never would have existed. I hope, my dear sirs, that in memory of what we have been to each other, you will accept this dedication with your friend's love. The play of Peter is streaky with you still, though none may see this, save ourselves. A score of acts had to be left out, and you were in them all. I suppose I always knew that I made Peter by rubbing the five of you violently together as savages with two sticks to produce a flame. That is all he is, the spark I got from you. Some of you were not born when that story began, and yet were hefty figures before we saw that the game was up. Oh, do you remember Ambaruna's hut and the haunted groves of Black Lake, and the St. Bernard dog who so frequently attacked you? And the literary record of that summer, The Boy Castaways, which is so much the best and the rarest of this author's works. What was it that made me eventually give to the public in the thin form of a play that which had been woven for ourselves alone? Alas, I know what it was. I was losing my grip. One by one, as you swung monkey-wise from branch to branch in the wood of make-believe, you reached the tree of knowledge. Soon you knew it only as the vanished wood, for it vanishes if one needs to look for it. A time came when I saw that George, the most gallant of you all, ceased to believe that he was ploughing woods in Carnadine, and with an apologetic eye for me derided the lingering faith of Peter. When even Michael questioned gloomily whether he did not really spend his nights in bed. In these circumstances, I suppose, was begun the writing of the play of Peter Pan. That was 1/4 century ago. And I clutched my brows in vain to remember whether it was a last desperate attempt to retain the five of you for a little longer, or merely a cold decision to turn you into bread and butter. You had played with Peter until you tired of him and tossed him in the air and gored him and left him derelict in the mud, and went on your way singing other songs. And then I stole back and sewed some of the gory fragments together with a pen nib. I talk of dedicating the play to you, but how can I prove it's mine? Any one of you brothers has a better claim to the authorship than most, and I would not fight you for the cold rights. Cold they are to me now. That's that laughter of yours which Peter came into being long before he was caught and written down. There is Peter still, but to me he lies sunk in that gay Black Lake.